Happy? Testing levels, audio check, testing levels at the desk, testing levels, checking audio levels. Testing levels, audio levels 1, 2, 3, testing levels at the desk 1, 2, 3. Testing levels at the desk, audio levels 1, 2, 3, testing levels. Testing audio levels, testing 1, 2, 3, testing.
Used to be indecisive, but now I'm not sure. That's a lovely photo, it's quite large, isn't it? I don't want to move it. Testing, 1, 2, testing, testing. Testing the mics, testing, 1, 2, 1, 2, testing. Testing, testing, 1, 2, testing the mics, testing, 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 testing the mics.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I'll just mix two channels, I guess. I'm going to sit in for more. This is the microphone test. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Today I have not had breakfast yet because I'm trying to lose weight. Haha, I'm kidding. Ha ha ha. You good? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6. Chair on the left. 1. Camera right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 1. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to point this microphone a little bit towards this side. I mean, mind you, I'm here, so I don't write levels. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is chair, camera left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Middle chair. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, because I'll probably just have to boost it up on. Cheers. Cheers. Right. So there's no audio for the opening remarks, just saying.
Testing. Everybody hear me? Yes. Yeah, I think so. How does it speak?
I don't know.
I think so.
Probably speaking from up there.
Should be read at the
On
moment.
the left and the
No.
okay.
Ready? Good afternoon, everyone. Can I start by welcoming you all to Doughty Street? I'm Neil Hudgell. I'm part of the legal team that represents the families of the victims of the Nottingham attacks of June 2023. I start by expressing continued gratitude of the families to you for all your continuing love and support. It's over 2 years since the atrocity,
and the start of the unbearable pain that each of these families continue to suffer. As you'll know, there's a public inquiry that they've tirelessly campaigned for that is due to begin to hear evidence in February of next year. We've heard on many occasions details of some of the repeated failings of the various institutions, both before and after June 2023. There's been many press conferences and briefings detailing just some of those failings. Today is not primarily about accountability, answers or change. The time for that scrutiny will come. Today is about remembering a dearly missed daughter, granddaughter, sister, niece and friend. It's about a young woman who was beautiful inside and out, who brought so much joy to so many people in her life. It's about reflecting on and recognising the incredible bravery and courage shown by a 19-year-old girl in the face of a horrific assault on her friend Barney. As the Prime Minister himself said, she made the ultimate sacrifice to protect her friend. I would like to welcome the speakers, Grace's incredibly proud but heartbroken parents, Sanjoy and Sinead, and her brother James. Thank you.
Alright, thank you. I want to start off by saying that I'm determined Grace's life is not defined by the violence that took her, but by the fact she always represented a symbol of heroism, compassion and the very best of humanity. June 13, 2023. Mum just picked me up after finishing my chemistry GCSE paper 2. There I was, whining about the fact I found it hard paper. Little did I know, within moments, my world was about to be fractured forever. Now on the way home, Mum had asked me if I'd seen the news. Unsurprisingly, being in an exam, I hadn't. She then told me there had been attacks in Nottingham, where a young man and young woman were killed together walking home from a night out. As upsetting as it was, I stupidly thought nothing of it. Just to check everything was okay, I picked up my phone and rang Grace. Call number 1, straight to voicemail. Call number 2, straight to voicemail. Call number 50, straight to voicemail. We'd had nothing from Grace. Straight away I called as many of her friends I knew as possible. Each of them said the same. She was last seen walking back with Barney and he'd been killed. By this point I was desperate to wake up from this nightmare. It was a nightmare I couldn't escape. To this day I am haunted by the thoughts of what my sister's final moments must have been. Unimaginable pain, complete agony, and yet the unthinkable courage to stand alone and fight off an armed attacker in desperate attempt to save her friend's life. She was a warrior fighting off a coward. I often find myself trapped in an endless spiral of questions. What if? What if she just ran? What if she just got an Uber? What if she left 2 minutes later? I end up concluding that a few moments were the difference between what had been a life filled with laughter and what I now live marked by loss and isolation. Not to mention, if several institutions had done jobs correctly, none of these what-ifs would have even mattered in the first place. To have my life ahead of me, without my best friend alongside me every step of the way, will forever be incomplete. Without her, there's a ceiling on life. No matter what I achieve, or the joy and success the future brings, it will always fall miles short of the life it could have been with her in it. And this is a new reality a teenager like me has had to try and make any sense of. Even in the darkest moments, Grace's courage has shone brighter than anything else. It is only fitting and a pure reflection of who she was that she's received one of the highest honours of bravery this country can bestow. As her brother, it comes as no surprise, as this was Grace to a T. Someone who would stand up for her friends no matter the situation, which was crystal clear. We often use the phrase putting your life on the line as an exaggeration and figure of speech, but my sister truly lived those words. And this is why I sincerely hope this honour will bring me a small measure of peace, knowing that her bravery and her goodness has been recognised. However lost I am without Grace, she serves an example to every single person, and it is her character that remains my compass through life. Even with my whole future ahead of me, I'm certain I'll never live up to even half the strength, the kindness and the character Grace possessed, simply because she had it naturally all so right. My never-ending goal in life is to only be more like Grace, and so it should be for everybody else. Grace's courage may have ended that night, but her beacon of light never will. Her bravery, her kindness and her love will continue to guide us, always. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. Grace was beautiful and brave in life, and now is recognised that she was courageous and selfless to the end in her death. Since the inception of the George Medal, I have found that it has been predominantly military personnel and those acting in the line of duty, such as in the emergency services, who are the majority of the recipients. It is a rare honour, and I would like to say an honour in which women are few and in the minority, and I would also like it recognised that as a teenager, Grace is truly exceptional. It is most brutal for me to reconcile what happened to Grace that fateful night. On the 13th of June, I woke up to the news that there had been a horrific violent incident in Nottingham that had led to the death and injury of multiple citizens, but I could scarcely imagine that my daughter Grace, a medical student at the end of her first year at the University of Nottingham, could be tied up in these events. I wrote on our small family messaging group, exclaiming my horror and personally acknowledging to myself the proximity of the campus to the events on Ilkeston Road, but thought no more of it. I wrote, "This is awful. Small enough town, Nottingham, quite shocking really." The timestamp 10:23. Grace did not reply to our message. We started calling and calling. There was no reply. I started to fear the worst. One of her close friends called me. "The girls in Nottingham do not have your number, Sinead." Barney has passed, and Grace was with Barney walking back. The events of Grace's fatal stabbing unfolded, and as did the circumstances and the sequence of events. My beautiful daughter was an athlete, and she could have run. She did not. She stood her ground and tried to protect her friend. She could have tried to escape, but it clearly did not enter her mind to do so. She could have endeavoured to save herself. She did not. She actively defended her friend Barney. Barney, who had been targeted first in this brutal attack. She physically fought off this armed attacker from the assault on her friend. She fought to defend herself and her friend, sadly to no avail, and she too was overpowered. We have lost our beautiful daughter, and life will never be the same again, and I am lost without my girl, my pet, my best friend, and how I loved her so. And I do find it difficult to continue without her, truth be told. But this is about Grace and not about me. I hope this honour will shine a light on Grace as the exceptional human being she was. However, it will also shine a light on the failures of the institutions that ultimately bear the responsibility for the events that led to that night and the grief and heartbreak of all of our families. It does, however, give me some solace to know that Grace's bravery is recognised in perpetuity with this Gallantry Award. She is recognised for the brave, courageous and fearless girl that she was. Please never forget Grace. Think of her as a shining example of humanity, bravery, selflessness and kindness. With this honour, I think Grace is speaking to us as families. I think Grace is speaking to us all as society. Never stop fighting. Never stop trying to be the best. Never stop trying to improve failing systems, and never be a bystander. Grace was not a bystander. We will advocate for accountability, transparency and a better society. Grace was not a bystander, be it in a small way ever, whether it be standing up to bullies or in the greatest way possible, fighting for her friend, for herself, with her life. And we shall not be bystanders. We as families will not be bystanders. Thank you.
I'm Sanjay Kumar, I'm Grace's father. We would like to thank His Royal Highness King Charles, the Prime Minister and the Cabinet Office for awarding the George Medal to our brave and beautiful daughter Grace. On 13th of June 23, Grace was walking back to halls of residence with her friend Barney when Valdo Calacane confronted them with a knife. For no reason, he attacked Barney, who had no chance to defend himself, and Grace intervened. She was 19, and she valiantly fought a 30-year-old armed with a large hunting knife. As her mother says, Grace was an athlete. She could have easily run away, even to seek help, but her instinct was to stand by her friend, intervene, to fight, to stop a sustained attack on her friend. She placed friendship over fear. She paid the ultimate price for her courage because she was the type who never abandoned a friend. I'm a deeply upset, bereaved father, but it is my privilege to call Grace my daughter. The 19 years she shared with me, I now realise, were my best. She motivated me to be a good father, a better person, a better doctor. She inspired me every day because of the love she had for me. Grace was born on the 17th of October 2003. She was the best present my wife could ever give me. And I was in love with her the moment I carried her in my arms for the first time. She was adored by her grandfather, who had also always wanted a daughter, and took delight in telling Grace that he was so disappointed that he had a second son, me. My father always wanted a daughter, but instead had two sons, my brother and I. Grace had much fun with this fact, and would constantly remind me of this if she thought I was getting too big for my boots. She had a wonderful sense of humour. She filled our house with sound and song, a house that is now quiet without her. Grace started showing her character from a very young age. At nursery, she would be seen competing with boys for the slides and swings. In the playground, she'd be playing football during breaks. It was clear she saw no distinction between friendships with boys or girls, and this would be something she continued throughout her school life. Her caring and compassionate nature was displayed early, even at junior school, when she would invite new pupils to the school into a friendship group, only to find that she had been excluded for making these new friendships. But she never cared about petty and mean behaviour. She would always stand by her friends. Sport was an obvious avenue for Grace. She started very young playing cricket and hockey, with the occasional wrestling session with her brother and her cousins, who were all boys. She wasn't treated any differently in the rough and tumble, and I think this prepared her for the sport she would take up. Grace played cricket for her county of Essex, winning Batter of the Year one season. She brought cricket to her school, where originally she had to play in the boys' team, and because of Grace, Bancroft School now has a ladies' cricket programme. Grace played hockey for England, her country. She played a forward position and was a top goal scorer for a season. One of her international goals was against Ireland, her mother's home nation, and bringing much joy to the English half of the family. She was a huge role model for her brother James, who she loved dearly. James would follow her example and become a school's county cricketer and an England hockey player, just like his sister. Grace always set the bar high for James, but James always jumped over the challenges she set for him. They were the most loving brother and sister one could imagine. It became clear to all of us that Grace was happiest when she had a badge on her chest, a county cricket badge, an England hockey badge, or her University of Nottingham badge. She found purpose in serving a badge, being part of a team, and carrying team responsibility. During the national emergency of COVID, when even some of my clinical colleagues were shielding, her first instinct was about how she could help her country, her community, and her county. When she heard that I'd be head of operations at the Walthamstow Library Vaccination Centre, she did all of the courses required to become a volunteer vaccinator. She would join all the brave volunteers to vaccinate hundreds of people. The volunteer team at the centre vaccinated well over 100,000 people. Grace would jump on her little Vespa and turn up at the vaccination centre to surprise me and do a volunteering shift. At the centre, she met many other women who were community leaders, MPs, women who she would look up to as role models. Her mother, a consultant anaesthetist who worked throughout the COVID emergency in the NHS, being her ultimate role model. Grace was determined to become a doctor. She had caring in her nature. She would study hard to win a place at medical college, Nottingham being her first choice for her favourite course and her favourite sport of hockey. Grace had just completed her first year at medical college in Nottingham. She had expressed an intention to become a trauma and orthopaedic surgeon. She had also discussed with me the prospect of joining the Royal Army Medical Corps before continuing on to the National Health Service. Joining the armed forces was a wish she knew I always wanted for myself, but never got round to doing. She wanted to outdo her father even in duty. That is how dedicated she was. Wherever there are acts of outstanding bravery, as shown by Grace, there are unfortunately acts of cowardice. Cowardice in our tragedy was from people who simply didn't do their jobs, and by consequence, the attacks in Nottingham took place. Not doing one's basic job is cowardice, a dereliction of duty that Grace, Barney, and Ian did not deserve. Cowardice is also failing the duty of candour that so many organisations have. The failure of Nottingham Police to not charge Valdo Calocane with any prior violent offences. The failure to let him walk the streets of Nottingham for 9 months when he was wanted on a warrant. The Assistant Chief Constable Rob Griffin's statement that Nottingham Police could not have done any more, but knowing Calocane was wanted on a warrant in his city. The absolute lack of professional standards shown by Nottingham Police officers who passed around WhatsApp messages about the attack. The Nottingham Council security staff who breached confidential information. The poor criminal investigation which lacked professional curiosity like forensic sampling by the senior investigating officer. The lack of conviction by the Nottingham CPS to accept flawed psychiatric reports that did not question the day of the attacks, without any question or curiosity, stating falsely that Calocane was a case of treatment resistance when in fact he simply resisted taking his treatment. The very poor legal representation of the CPS prosecution case. The psychiatrist who sectioned Valdo Calocane 4 times but did not change his treatment and discharge him into the community to be a danger to the public in Nottingham. Calocane's family and mother, who's a nurse, for letting him in the past drive in a so-called psychotic state, and brother for not calling the emergency services when he was called during the Nottingham attacks. The lack of any lessons learned by NHS England by not changing any systems from previous mental health related homicides. The Nottingham Trust for getting so much wrong at every level, even though they'd repeated warnings from previous tragic assaults in the city. The sheer lack of any accountability. The breach of personal medical notes and data by Trust staff, and the behind closed doors investigation still taking place. The Leicestershire police officers who failed to arrest Valdo Calocane weeks before the attack, whilst wanted on warrant. the IOPC for their shambolic investigation and then attempts to cover up the investigation into Leicestershire Police. The CQC informing us that NHS England would give us detailed information about the failures by commissioning Themis Consulting, who in turn have not given us any detail that the CQC and NHS England had promised. The previous NHS England National Mental Health Director and current Midlands Regional Director continue to obfuscate and not answer questions we have raised about failures, and most disgracefully still held no one accountable for this terrible loss of life to this date. Accountability by these organisations seems to me to be becoming an anachronism. I'd like to thank the Prime Minister for ordering the Nottingham inquiry. I thanked him at the time at number 10, telling him that as a father he had really done me a favour, to which he replied, as a father, this is what I wanted to do for you. I'd like to thank Neil Hodgell and his team, who will be seeking accountability and eventually justice for us. For Grace, I deeply regret that I never told Grace something I have long known in my heart. She was in every way a better version of myself. Her unwavering dedication, courage and selflessness set a standard that I've always admired. Grace embodied the qualities I aspire to, and I'm proud to have known her and witnessed her remarkable character. To the public, here's my message based on what Grace represented. Grace was a true patriot. As John F. Kennedy in 1961 famously said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And this is the standard with which Grace led her life. She asked for nothing from her country, but gave everything. Representing and volunteering for her country was her highest honour. Like her, care for your communities. Like her, care for your counties and care for your country. Because that is what she did. And that is what she would want. Like her, ignore those who seek to divide communities in our country. But most of all, just as it states on her charity foundation, let's all be more like Grace. Thank you.
Naturally, we'll take questions now from the floor.
James, just to start with you, how proud are you of Grace that she is? What would it mean to you that Grace has been honored in this way?
I mean, as I said in my speech, it gives me a bit of peace to know that her bravery has been recognised, and as Mum said, let alone being a woman, but being a teenager, to be on an award like this is an incredible achievement, and I think it's only right for the way in which she lost her life and what she did for her best friend.
Dr. Ahmad Kumar, you've all touched on how Grace could have run away if she wanted to. What does it say about her character that in that moment, facing the most extraordinary peril, that her instinct was to stay and help her friend?
I can't imagine what was going through Grace's mind at the time. She must have been absolutely terrified. I know I would have been, and I'm sure anybody in this room would be faced with that. So it's truly remarkable that her instinct was to stand and fight, to help her friend, to help Barney. As I said, Barney had been attacked and assaulted first. So it was only, Grace could only intervene. So it's difficult to put into words how she must feel, but it's also difficult to put into words how I feel. But we always thought Grace was too good to be true. because she was such a good, well, as well as being a nice girl, she worked hard at school, she worked hard at her sport, she was a nice friend, she was just a generally good, all-round good person. So to find out that even in her death, she too was too good to be true is quite remarkable. And like I said, I just want everyone to never forget Grace.
Hello, to any or all of you, what do you think Grace would make or is making of receiving the award?
Grace wasn't very good at receiving awards. She was very good at caring for her friends. Only her friends can attest to that. She was someone who loved being part of a team. She never wanted anything, any personal recognition for anything. Her team, her mates, meant more to her than any individual prizes or awards. Really, it was for her, it was all about her friends and her team. She was born to be in a team, which was so obvious from so early on in her life. I think she'd be looking down and probably passing her medal around the team.
Hi there. When you heard that Grace was being recognised for her bravery, what went through your mind? She mentions it's quite a rare honour for a civilian who isn't associated with the military or emergency services to get this award. So what went through your minds in that moment? And also just secondary question, if I may, do you know when you will be going to Buckingham Palace for another royal presence to receive this on Grace's behalf?
I'd just like to say that it's not as something that we have celebrated. You can understand it is very bittersweet, but we feel privileged and proud of Grace, and because it reflects the kind of person she was with her gallantry award. Truth be told, of course, we would like Grace to be with us. We don't want awards. We don't want to be sitting here today, quite frankly. We wanted Grace to be getting all the things she loved in life. But the reality is, she's gone. And all I can say is that we're proud that she's been recognised for her bravery. From the point of view of investiture or anything like that, we've no notification. So we've no further comment to add on that, and we don't know anything yet at this point.
Anyone else? No, I don't think so. So I think we're going to... Oh, sorry, on that.
Sorry for the loss. How difficult is it knowing that the services that led to Harold being able to do what he did are still broken?
My answer is that they shouldn't be broken. My answer to you is that everyone who goes to work every day should just do their job. The fact that people are not doing their jobs is what I have the issue with. In our case, we have never asked for anything exceptional to have happened. What has been heartbreaking for us, as I said, was that people just simply didn't do their jobs. And there is no excuse for that. When I was asked when we were in a meeting with the Secretary of State for Health, we were reminded by other people present there about funding, etc., about the NHS and things like that. Sinead and I have worked in the NHS for about 30 years, when there's always been a shortage of funding, but what it hasn't stopped people doing is their job every day. All we have simply asked throughout this whole process is, did people do their jobs? And answer, unfortunately, is that there were people who just simply didn't do their job.
I'd like to add just one more thing, please, Neil, and that is I'd like you all to remember the other victims of the attacks on June 13th. The Coates family are grieving for Ian. The Webber family continue to be heartbroken and grieve for their son Barney. So I just would like to remember that this is about Grace today, but at the same time, I think it's important we do remember that we need answers for all of the families, and that's what we look forward to getting with the Nottingham inquiry.
Any more? Okay, I think we're going to take a few minutes and then I think there's going to be some one-to-ones outside. So, thank you.
Thank you.